Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Gary, and I know on my channel recently it has been obviously very FIFA Women's World Cup orientated, but of course we're only a couple of weeks away now from the Premier League, and I'd realised I've never done a Premier League prediction video, and since prediction videos on this channel seem to be incredibly popular, I know I don't usually concentrate on club football at all. This is predominantly an England international fan channel, but I thought why not? As an England fan, why not predict the England Premier League? So I'm going to try and get this done in 10 minutes. Keep the video short, but let's take a look. So here we go. So we have the tier list here. So we have different options along the side here. So we've got the Champions League, places 2 to 4, Europa League places, the Europa Conference League place, higher mid-tables 8 to 12, lower mid 13, 17, and the relegation. So we'll start with the relegation. And I think the team that is going down bottom of the table is, and it's not going to be a surprise, Luton Town. I think Luton Town are just going to struggle. They're just going to struggle financially, quality-wise. They've not really spent anything, have they? You never know, though. There could be a surprise. The home form is going to be key, no doubt about it, like it is going to be for all the lower teams in this league. Home form will be what keeps them up or gets them relegated, essentially. But I just think Luton are going to struggle, and for me, they're going to be bottom of the table. Next on that list is another newly promoted team, and I believe that's Sheffield United. I think they're going to finish 19th in the table, and like Luton, I just think they're going to struggle because of the quality, the strength in depth. They're not really spending anything neither. Now, the third team to be relegated, and this is the one where there's always a big battle, isn't there? I think it's going to go right to the last game of the season, and I think this is going to surprise some people, but I am genuinely going for Everton to be relegated this season. There's 2 seasons on the bounce now. They've just scraped through, and if anything, they've weakened the squad. They're not recruiting. They're not buying anyone of any significance. I can't understand what's going to change between last year or the last 2 years and this year coming up. So I just think they're going to run out of chances. They're going to run out of lives, if you like. They're going to go down with that new stadium, which is going to be such a shame. I don't want to see them go down. They're one of the old school, established top Premier League teams, and it'd be sad to see them go. But I just think they're pushing the luck too much, and for me, this is the season they get relegated. So next is just outside the relegation zone, surviving on the final day, is Wolves. A bit like Everton, you just think, again, they've really weakened. There are a lot of players who've left this summer, no obvious replacements coming in, and you just can't see a difference really from last season to this season. But for me, I think they're going to do better than Everton and I just think it's just going to be too much for Everton. A third season battling it out, and I just think they're going to struggle. So Wolves just finish above them. Next for me is Nottingham Forest. So I have Forest just above the relegation zone as well, with Wolves not too much above. I think they're still going to be struggling. They could easily get relegated. I just think they're going to do all right. Forest, they're going to do all right for the budgets they've got, for the quality they've got. They've had a season in the Premier League now, so they understand the league better. And I just think that they'll probably just have a little bit too much. I just think they won't be one of the worst 3 teams in the league. So for me, Forest stay up, but still are going to have a difficult season. Next for me is Burnley. So I think Burnley are going to, again, struggle, but not as much as other teams. And I think they're going to be all right. They're going to be all right. They've got pedigree in this league, and they're just one of those teams that often surprises fans. And I've just got a funny feeling for them to do well this season in terms of not getting relegated and staying up relatively comfortably, at least a couple of places above the relegation zone. So for me, that's where Burnley sit. In 14th place, I am going for Bournemouth, and these teams here that I've already put in, you can flip a coin. All of these teams at the bottom here are well within a shout of being relegated. I'm just putting them in the order where I think they're going to be. But Bournemouth certainly comes into that category where they could do all right. They could, pick up a few useful wins, results at home, but easily a run of games could see them right in the bottom of the league. But I think Bournemouth will finish 14th. Next on the list, a little bit better than what they've done last season, but I still don't think a vast improvement. And another one that may surprise people, but I'm going for West Ham in 13th place. So still not finishing in the top 10, despite winning the Europa Conference League like they did. They're just not strengthening, are they? They've lost Declan Rice as well. And it's just, again, a bit like Everton. Can't see a massive turnaround in events and fortunes, and they're going to have a hard time of it, but it's not going to be as difficult as last season, and I think they're going to be about mid-table. So moving into the higher mid-table section then, so in 12th place I am going for Crystal Palace. Established team in the Premier League now, and I think they're a team that on the day can pick up results against anybody, and again I think there'll be a lot of teams a lot worse than them, and I think they'll go steady throughout the season. and I think they'll be pushing towards the top half of the Premier League. I've put them just in the bottom half here, but I think Crystal Palace will have a normal season for them. I don't think they'll do great, but I don't think they'll do very poor neither. The next on the list is Brentford for me. Now, obviously, they're going to be missing their star striker in Ivan Toney, who is, of course, banned from playing due to the betting scandal, if you like. So they are going to be missing their key player in the attacking options, but they've got other options as well. And I just think, like Palace, they're an established Premier League side now. I would usually, with Tony back in and a few others, I would put them usually a bit higher, but I think where I've put Brentford, that will be a good season for them. Next on my list is Fulham. I think they're going to have a good season by their standards. Mid-table, solid mid-table team. Going to pick up some surprise results, but then also lose some shockers. I mean, for what they charge for season tickets, they should be winning the championship every year. But yeah, that's another story. But Fulham, solid mid-table performance from them. Next on the list for me is Brighton, and they had a fantastic season last season. I just don't think they're going to be able to sustain it as well as what they did last year, but I still think they're going to have a very good season this season. And for a team that, relatively speaking, compared to other Premier League teams, doesn't spend an awful lot, doesn't have a huge wage budget, I think 2 seasons on the bounce in the top half of the Premier League is a fantastic achievement for them. Now, the last place, in 8th place in the higher mid-table section, I am going for Chelsea. Now, I have bottled it here, because if I'm being really honest, I think Chelsea may finish even lower than that. But it's big club syndrome, and I have a folded. I'm not going to put them in the bottom half, but I could see them doing so. A bit like West Ham and Everton, what is going to be the difference for Chelsea next season? Their form in the second half of last season was relegation form. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, but I think Chelsea fans and Chelsea should be delighted if they get 8th place, considering where they finished and the way they performed towards the end of last season and the recruitment they've had. So 8th place, and I think that's quite an optimistic 8th place for Chelsea fans. So the first European qualification spot for the Europa Conference League, I am going for Tottenham Hotspur, and I just think they're gonna do well, but they haven't got the strength or the quality. I may change my opinion actually, depending on what happens with Harry Kane, because I think without him, they're going to be in a lot of bother. 7th, I think that will be a good season. I think that will be an exceptional season if they lose Harry Kane, but they're not going to compete with the top 4, and I think 7th will be where they finish. So moving into the top 6 now in the Premier League, and I am going for Aston Villa in 6th. What a season they've had last season, and I think they'll continue on this season. Unai Emery, I think, is a fantastic coach. Ollie Watkins on fire. They've got a good spine, good quality throughout, young, exciting, attacking, fresh team, and I think I'd love to see Villa stay up there and start to knock on the door of the top 4. Recruitment is obviously going to be a concern for Aston Villa. They're not going to have the resources to go out and buy individual talent. That's really going to take them on to the next step, but I think they can sustain where they finished last season, and I think 6th place will be a fantastic season for them. Next on my list, and I know a lot of people will disagree with this one, but I'm going for Arsenal. And I just think the way they folded in the second half of the season, I'm going to say folded, because they should have won the league. You know, where they were in the league by Christmas, by early January, they should have won the league. It's as simple as that, and they bottled it. And I'm thinking, can they sustain a double title challenge on the bounce, one after the other? And I don't think they can. It's not that I don't think they've got the quality. I mean, I'm not even putting them in my top 4, which I know will surprise a lot of people. But I just think last season will have taken a lot out of Arsenal, and I just don't think they've got that resilience, and they showed that with the pressure that they crumbled to ultimately against Man City. And I just think it's going to be too much for them to consistently challenge for titles and be up there in the real high positions in the league. So I don't know, just a funny feeling, but I'm going for Arsenal in 5th. In 4th, and this could have been interchangeable, I've gone for Manchester United. I think Man United's actually made some quite good signings. The goalkeeper, I think, is one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the minute. I think he's a brilliant signing. Mason Mount, I think, good young English player. I know I might be a little bit biased, and then I know he's very Marmite to people, but I think he's only going to strengthen from that central midfield. They are missing a striker, an out-and-out striker, and I think that's what's going to cost Man United from really becoming title challengers. But 4th place, it's not really, that wouldn't be a good season for Manchester United. They're not really pushing on from last year, but I'm going for them in 4th. In 3rd place, I am going for Newcastle United, and I just think they're going to have a wonderful season, and I think for a good chunk of this season, in the first half, I think they're going to be up there challenging with Man City. But I think as the season goes on, they'll struggle to sustain a title challenge, because we've seen how difficult it is, and they won't still have the strength in depth of a Manchester City. but I think they're going to have a brilliant season and finish comfortably in 3rd place. So that leaves me with 2 spots, and I am surprisingly going for Liverpool in 2nd. And I just think the way they ended last season, we were just starting to see the Liverpool of old. And I've got a funny feeling we're going to see the Liverpool of old again this year. They have had a lot of changes though. Big important dressing room players like Jordan Henderson have left the club this summer. Firmino obviously leaving the club. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. It's just a feeling in my bones. I think Liverpool are going to have a strong season, and I think they're going to really challenge for the only team that's left. And of course, I think like anybody else, and you'd be mad not to, my champions this season are going to be Manchester City. I just think who on earth can stop them? You can't bet against them after the treble winning season last year. It's up to everybody else, isn't it, to step up, because they are not going to slip up. So everyone else has to step up to meet them and not rely on Man City not being able to keep this form up, because they can. They will do it again next season the same way they've done it this season. So it's up to everybody else to catch them. But that in total is my full Premier League prediction. Let me know what your thoughts are. There's going to obviously be a lot there that we disagree with, and there's going to be a lot I get wrong. That's why predictions are so fun, because they're almost impossible to do. Teams that usually do well one season do terribly the next season, and vice versa. So this will be probably wrong in a lot of places, but that's my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching to the end, and I will see you all on my next video.